Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am Martha Brown, your host for today's activities. We are presenting today Squashes, brought to you from Peggy Spear at the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. This has got to be a colorful thing, and I can't wait. Peggy, take it away.
You know what, Martha? You would think it would be, and there is not one color image in there's one color image in like the 8 I'm showing you.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I know,
Wow.
I thought for sure. All right, let me pull this bad boy up.
Okay, pull it up.
Here
Squash,
we go.
you know, it's our squash that you eat.
Okay, so it should be squashes and gourds. We're kind of expanding the squash gourd situation.
Artful Moments.
All right. So here's a sweet photograph by Elliot Porter's wife, Aileen, of their fourth son. They have 5 sons, and this is their 4th.
Oh my word. Cute.
I just thought it was so sweet because I feel like probably so many of us, whether you are in the picture or you took pictures of your children, have pictures like this.
Yeah.
A biddy on your front porch with the pumpkins from the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
So there's not much to say about it. Just because we have the archives, we have some of their personal photographs as well. And so this is part of the collection of just some of their personal photographs. And his wife was an artist as well. Not that I think she was more photography, but they supported each other in their artistic endeavors. So it's a very beautiful picture, but it's a very relatable picture as well.
Yes.
Any thoughts or comments on this one? There's not much art history related to it, but just a cute picture.
It is a cute picture. Yeah.
It's
Paulette,
interesting.
did you take pictures of your kids out on the front porch like this?
Yeah, at one time.
Back when you had to pay for flash bulbs, everybody took pictures outdoors because it was cheaper.
Mhm.
You know, if you
Yeah.
wanted to take a family
Sure.
picture, everybody out to the yard.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting too, that's it just made me think when you said that during the pandemic, like in the very beginning when people didn't know what the heck was going on, a lot of portrait photographers took pictures of people on their front porch. That was like a big thing, that a surge of portrait photography went because people were home and kind of together with their family, maybe more than they've ever been. So a lot of photographers would go from house to house and have the family sitting on their front porch and take a picture. And then, that was their family portrait for the year.
Sweet.
Yeah, so this is pre-pandemic times. All right, this is like the only color picture, but we've got so many Gentlings up right now. We can't ignore the Gentlings.
No.
So this is Stuart painting, not Scott. Scott was the painter that we are most familiar with. But in the mid 60s, Stuart decided he wanted to make art his profession as well. So he went to his brother for lessons and to learn how to perfect painting. And so, and Scott said, please, come up with your own style. Don't copy my style, as true siblings would say. And so this is a still life that Stuart painted, and his style sorted to flesh out that he would do very tight up still lives where you don't really see the horizon line, just a very focused center. So here we've got some pumpkins.
Very good.
It looks like a photograph.
It does. doesn't it?
Yeah. What aspects look very photographic to you, Yetta?
I mean, just it's so clear. It just doesn't look like a watercolors.
Yeah.
Even when I open it up, or make it bigger or larger, it just looks amazing.
Very detailed. Very
Yeah,
detailed.
it's very
Very
detailed.
detailed.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the individual pieces of grass. I mean,
Mhm,
we not
Yeah.
Stuart too was a photographer, and often we've talked about this in maybe a few past. Stuart would take pictures and then give them to Scott, his brother, who was really good at etching, and his brother would then make a work on paper out of his photograph. So Stuart was probably doing a lot of that same thing where he would take a photograph and then paint from that photograph.
Mhm.
So you're picking up on that process, Yetta, where it really is very realistic.
Okay. I mean, even the pumpkin colors are just amazing
They
Mhm.
are.
and natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you could see that, on your front porch or at Trader Joe's,
Mhm.
wherever,
Yep.
those pumpkins look they don't look cartoonish or
Mm-mm.
abstract in any way. And even just the weathering on the door behind it.
It reminds me of a door from my childhood. It's blowing me away. This could have been
How
a house
cool.
that I lived in.
How neat.
Yeah.
Where did
Yeah.
you live at that time?
That little house was in Forest City, Arkansas, which is the middle of nowhere.
I've never heard of Forest City, Arkansas.
The middle of nowhere. That's right.
Was it a farm? Were you on a farm, Martha?
No, it was a town of about 2,000, and we thought that was big stuff. It was
Big
about
city.
an hour away from Memphis, Tennessee.
Mm.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this artwork is on view right now. I don't have the dims, like or dimensions. I couldn't find them. And I apologize for the reflection because I took a picture of it on the wall. So anyway,
Glad
gotta
to have it.
tip our hat to the Gentlings. Okay, this is a terrible reproduction and I apologize for that, but another black and white picture of a squash. Of gourds. This is actually gourds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So again, there's not much I could find, or this particular one I could find a surprisingly a large amount of information about. But this artist was a really good drawer, illustrator, and she wrote Millions of Cats. She illustrated Millions of Cats. I don't know if you know that book. I did not, but she's won a ton of Newbery and Caldecott awards for children. They're awards for children's literature.
Mm-hmm.
So she wrote and illustrated a bunch of children's books, and that's how people knew who she was. But she was very interested. She grew up in Minnesota, moved to New York, but was very interested in the sensual nature of natural things. And so the gourds lend themselves very well to her curiosity of an interest in the organic and natural shapes of things. So you can see some of the different detailings that, she would also, this, which is really interesting. Speculation was, it was during the 1920s. She was illustrating a lot. This topic, a lot of museums have different versions of her squash or flower prints throughout the country. So this was a topic she was very interested in. But she would paint or draw at night. And so there's art historians think that this was a night still life because of the darkness. And she would have a kerosene lamp lit and she would paint. So you can see kind of the dark shadows that the kerosene lamp wasn't lighting, but then the brightness around.
She looks like a children's artist, illustrator.
Yeah, I mean,
can
she
see
has
her.
a lot of detail,
Yeah.
and there's like a playfulness to it.
I can almost hear da 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 da.
Well, since it's in black and white, it also seems kind of, I would say gloomy, but maybe scary in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
It feels
Mhm.
moody. You're right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And she likes drawing more at nighttime too. So there was a lot of artwork that was being produced at this time that had this kind of nighttime moody, shadowy feel, very characteristic of this era in her career. So anyway,
Any idea how long she lived?
I don't have her life dates written down. No, I do not.
Okay.
And then this, because for the people who love this to know the size, which is always interesting. This is 11 by 12, so it's not a small sketch.
It isn't. And the last name, Wanda Gag.
Yeah, she's American. I didn't find where her, she was born in America. I couldn't find where her family had, if they had immigrated from anywhere.
I've never heard that name as a last name.
Yeah, so interesting.
It's unusual.
She was born in 1893 and died in 46.
Okay.
Oh, she did. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for looking that up.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I noticed that her last name has an umlaut over the A. And I don't know if that's
It's
just
actually
how
an
you
accent.
what's that?
Accent.
Accent. Okay.
Accent.
God.
So I'm not 1000% sure how to say her name. Okay, so in still lives, this is, if you're like learning how to draw in a beginner's drawing class or watercolor class, still lives like this are a very common and popular way to get into this type of subject matter. They have got a lot of texture, they've got different color. So here, she's really focusing on the different textures, which, can't you feel that bumpiness that you see on boards? And you can feel like that, the stiffness of some of these leaves.
Check.
She captures a lot of really good detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
But okay.
So here's another colorful depiction of summer squash.
Ooh.
I could find nothing about this particular photographer, just that this photograph was part of a portfolio that she had done, and it's a summer squash. So not much to it, but I think it's really pretty.
You can see the bumps on the stems.
Yes. It feels like there's a lot of, like, it's a very textural picture to me, even though it feels kind of flat with the black and white. Like you said, Martha, you can see the bumps, even those, exactly what those little bumpies feel like on when you feel it on squash. She captures that detail so well. And then even that, you get a feel for that softness of the fabric it's draped on.
And I wonder why she chose that fabric to go along with such a bumpy, earthy picture of squash.
Yeah, and you can tell, the light source is coming from off the right side of the photograph. But again, just like, for any drawing or painting class, for photography too, vegetables are always an interesting subject. Everett Weston did photograph the peppers and things like that, just looking at their natural shapes and making them into an elevated art form. Still lives forever and ever and ever have been something where, fruit and veggies are always center stage. But I feel like you don't generally think of summer squash as one of those fruits or vegetables.
They've always been around when you didn't have other things to paint or to take photos of.
Right, and what better place to look than nature for inspiration? All right, so again, we're moving from one black and white to another black and white. I like this photographer, John Albach. We've looked at photographs of his in the past of a little drummer boy on Christmas Day and boys in bathing suits at the beach in Long Island. And so here is the front of a bodega or a little grocery store in his neighborhood. So what types of things are you seeing?
Bananas.
Bananas, yep.
And then those squash or gourds or whatever they are.
Yep. And even down here, there looks like there might be something squash-ish. I can't quite tell.
Maybe garlic.
Can't
It does look like garlic, you're right. And then you can see the reflection of the wrought iron from the street. And so to me, I thought it was almost like a stand at first, but you know, you wouldn't have a glass door. It looks, obviously there's
Yeah.
glass on it because that's what's causing the reflection. So I guess it really is like a storefront that you might have to walk down a couple of stairs to get into. Did
Oh, you
anybody
think it's-
grow up having like a little bodega grocery store type thing in their neighborhood where they would go and get their food for the day?
There were many in my hometown, but I didn't live
Mhm.
close to one.
Do you like that, Yetta? Do you like a grocery store, like the American grocery store versus what European, like neighborhood shops are?
Well, you know, even in Europe, the grocery stores have gotten so big that they are
True.
more like the supermarkets. But I did, you know, I do like the smaller ones because they still have everything, just
Yeah.
not 10 different kind of cornstarch or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, so this, you know, this is just another example. And Albach, he was actually a tailor by trade and took pictures outside of his storefront just of the people and the shops and the houses that are, you know, row homes and things in his neighborhood. So this is just another very characteristic of his work, another snippet of the life in his neighborhood in New York City.
The reflection also looks like there are more bunches of bananas outside.
Yeah, there definitely is something happening out here. It might be a quick lunch to grab on the go, but these are actually on the inside.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. See how perceptive I'm not.
No, well, it's tough looking at the image on a reproduction. I've been able to see it, so I know.
Okay. Up close and personal, huh?
What you're talking about. Thank you.
And then we had a couple, again, I could not find much information about this particular photograph, but Helen Post, I believe, worked for the government and took pictures of
Pharmacy.
different American Indian reservations for the government. And so here, and that she had a close relationship. Last time we looked at the picture of the fire, this ceremony that was happening outside, and it looked almost like a beach, but there had the rock behind them and the big bonfire. This was the same photographer that was able to develop a close relationship with the Navajo particularly. I think she worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. But here's one it's a portrait of a man in his squash farm.
Mm-hmm.
So before they're pulled out. But what do you get any sense about the person that she photographed? Anything you know about this person just from looking at this image?
He sort of looks proud.
I agree.
Doesn't he? Yes.
Yes.
The way he stands with his arm in the side and just takes the look over his field.
I've got that same sense.
Yes.
And even he's kind of smiling. I mean, not in a smug way, but in a like you said, yet in a proud, happy, you know, look at what I've done type of way.
Mhm.
Kind of like you'd look at your family, because he's
Yeah.
growing these from seeds. These are his babies.
I mean, and he's got that, you can tell he himself is working the farm, because he kind of has some weathered hands, which, you know, being out in the sun could do that, and working with your hands. And his outfit, he looks, you know, his boots, those are working clothes. He is out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
His hat, and then his beautiful braids. So I did not realize that the squash leaves were that big. They're beautiful.
Oh, yeah, they're big.
Squash blossom necklaces are also popular in the Southwest with
You're right.
Native Americans.
There were a number of images when I was looking through our database with squash that American Indians wearing the squash necklaces came up with that search.
Squash.
And for those who might not be familiar with a squash necklace, they're often silver or silver and turquoise or silver and coral. that have, it almost looks like an upside down half moon that hangs at the center of the, during rodeo season, you can't swing your purse without hitting one. They're all over. It's very Southwest style jewelry.
Squash blossoms are also edible.
Mhm.
My parents taught me that, not that I tried them.
Do they taste good? Oh, there we go. Thanks, Martha.
You bet.
Did they taste good, John?
I really don't know. Maybe if they fried them, I would have liked them. I'm not sure.
Right. Anything in butter is good.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we have one more, another man in his field. Although this is a very different vibe than the other one. He's standing in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like
Yeah.
he's wearing his working clothes, his farm clothing?
No.
No. And this is, it looks like, yeah, it is pumpkins. But you can see him, he has a pumpkin standing up directly in front of him. So I get this sense. Now, what is the purpose of having that pumpkin in front of him? Does anyone have a guess?
Maybe it's the biggest one in the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're alluding to its scale. Like, look how big my
Mhm.
pumpkins are, gang.
Hmm.
Because look how massive some of these are. So it's a little bit like the other farmer where there's a sense of pride in like, oh, look at my patch.
On the far
But
left, there's a 55-gallon drum, and there
oh
is
yeah,
large next to that. If
Man,
you know how big a drum
right.
is. Yeah.
Good eye. So there's
We-
not much I could find about this photograph, except that this company, Ravnos, was based, I think, out of California, although in our database, it says Denver. So I think it might have retailed in Denver as well, or printed in Denver. But these were basically stock photographs. This company would take pictures of everyday things that would then be sold for stock, postcards, stuff like that. So it has that postcard feel to it from that time era. Do you get that sense?
Hmm.
Yes, definitely a postcard feel.
Also because it says where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. So yeah. So okay. So this is California, and these photographs would sell in a kiosk, like in a little storefront. Only during the summer was typically when the shop was open for these photographs to sell. Interestingly enough. So these could be, and it was often of people in that general area. The photographers would photograph the community and use those pictures to then use for stock photo. So kind of an interesting smattering, not much art historical information, but as we can see, there's been a long and large history of pumpkin, squash, and gourds being
Mhm.
inspiration for artists.
I read an article right before before Halloween that 40% of all squashes in America come from Illinois. That's a lot
Really?
of squashes from that state.
Oh, how interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we're seeing squash grow. Okay, so this is California. This is, where a Navajo reservation would be. So in Southwest America, New York, and we're not seeing it grow there. But then here too, it's in Illinois. So pumpkins reach everywhere in America.
Mhm.
New York. So anyway. All right, so those are hopefully putting you in, getting you inspiration for a beautiful tablescape for your Thanksgiving meal next week. Which I cannot believe it's Thanksgiving next week. I will not be here. I'm actually flying up north to see my family for Thanksgiving, but we will be back December 1st, and the theme will be doors. So
Gonna be doors.
doors, like front doors,
Oh,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
so pretty.
lots of inspiration.
Oh, there's
across
so many
every
nice
media.
stores. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a Georgia O'Keeffe door and all of that.
Did you look at my PowerPoints?
No,
We've
no.
got a couple of Georgia O'Keeffes in there.
Okay.
But yeah, so we will be back with doors in December, and I hope all of you have a very wonderful Thanksgiving, whether you're staying local or traveling. I hope you have a nice holiday week.
Thank
you.
you.
Travel safe.
Travel safe,
Yeah.
Peggy.
Bye, friends. See you soon.
Peggy,
Yeah.
Yeah,
did you send a list this morning of?
no, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It's been
Okay.
kind of a hectic week. I think
That's
there's a
all
lot of
right.
people are out of town next week, so we're like, so you will get it tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a
You're welcome.
wonderful day.
You too. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
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 Dusty, you sneaked in on us.
But you're
I've
mute.
been here all the time.
He has?
Yes.
Oh, good. Dusty, you're on mute, so we can't hear you yet.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No.
No,
we
you
hear
can
Nancy.
hear
Okay.
you.
Can't hear me.
There's
I got it
Now
Dusty.
we
now.
can hear. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you,
can hear
Nancy.
you.
Okay.
I got
Yay.
it about in the middle.
Well, good, good. I hope you're a squash lover.
I am.
Oh, yeah. Fried.
I love, and I love that squash particularly.
Yum. Yeah.
Myra and I grew squash in our garden for a long time, and squash and zucchini. And
Mhm.
even she got me to start eating it.
Whoa.
So I ate it because we had so much I didn't want to throw it away.
Myra, I'd love to know how you had to cook it.
I probably steamed it,
Mm-hmm.
breaded it and steamed it
Made it soft.
and spiced it up.
Yum. You could almost make pie out of that.
Yes.
So while we're waiting for Kristen to reappear, let's take a look at what's coming up tomorrow.
Okay, what is?
Why not? We'll just take a look. Can anybody see purple? It's
Yeah.
coming up,
Yes.
it's coming up, it's coming up. There it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow is Moving to Heal with Emily Corbin. And
Moving to heal.
Gail will be your host for tomorrow because it's my ladies' luncheon day.
Oh,
And then I'll be
Mhm.
back on Friday with Sentimental Journey.
aha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ba, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da,
Well, let me go ahead and turn off the recording and we'll start Fifth Street Cafe.